Hey, it's Kristen with Collision Hub, and welcome to Repair University Live. And I don't think I have ever been so excited about a show as the one we have today. So first of all, a quick shout out and a thank you to BASF. One, thank you for making this program available free to all of those that wanted to register. And then thank you for allowing us to move your scheduled show that was supposed to be today to next month, where we'll be covering translucents and quad coats, to cover this incredible, important topic. So first of all, let's talk about who we have in the studio today. Mark, thanks for coming back.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're always glad to have you.
Absolutely.
Erica, I cannot tell you how incredibly honored I am to have you in the studio, not only as another most influential women and MIW winner, but probably our industry's most prominent attorney. And we're going to need your advice today.
Yep.
Thanks, Kristen. It's always a pleasure to be here.
And Larry, yeah, there's you. You know, we got you. We got you back. Now, the great thing about what we're going to cover today is, let's be honest, the reason we're here is because of Texas. And we're not going to focus on that Texas case specifically today. Nope. But we're going to talk about how that really affects the industry at large.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of things in that case that we have been kind of screaming at the top of our lungs for years to body shops all around the country, and body shops look at us and go, that's never going to happen. And then they all happened in one case.
Yeah.
So we'll get that kind of covered.
Or I've never had a problem.
Yeah, I've never had a problem.
Yeah.
I got a great reputation. Nothing ever comes back.
We're
We're going to 30 years.
Yeah. It's always 30. Why is it always 30? Is that like the magic number?
Yeah.
30 years?
30 years, you're an expert.
That's because we're getting old.
Yeah. Oh, no.
Yeah.
No. Thanks for running the whole show, Mark,
Sorry,
before we got
sorry.
started.
Well, let's jump into it.
All right, so let's get to where we want to go. So for those of you that are just maybe just hearing about the case or whatever, we had a suit filed in Texas against a collision repair center that was a hail claim, of all things, for an improper installation of a panel. I think there's a lot of situations in collision repair where we have a car that comes in that we worry about, but I don't think any of us would have ever thought a hail claim would be the one that would have come back on us the hardest or have the most impact. And I wasn't kidding when I put this online that I think this is the greatest case that we've had since Avery versus State Farm.
Yep.
As far as interest and potential change effect in the industry. So let's just talk about kind of the big rocks, the 3 or 4 biggest things that came out of this case for us. And so number one, following OEM procedures. And then what happens when you don't follow the OEM procedures? Erica.
Well,
Let's go right to the attorney.
I've always said, look, if there's anybody who supposedly knows about their vehicles and how their vehicles are supposed to be fixed, it's going to be your OEM. And if you don't follow what the OEM tells you to do, you're going to end up in a lot of trouble if the vehicle ends up in a subsequent accident and somebody gets hurt or killed. And that's just not the place you ever want to be. So I tell everybody, follow what the OEM tells you unless the OEM gives you express dispensation not to follow it on this particular occasion. Like, you're not going to go wrong doing that.
Is there, I mean, Larry and Mark, you guys are in court a lot. You're in court way more than me. I'm typically was in there on the insurance side of the fence. But so y'all see these cases. Is there ever a situation where the OEM doesn't trump everything in the courtroom? Where
No, it's very simple.
It's only what the judge wants to hear.
Yeah.
The judge only wants to hear what does the OEM say, even with position statements. And I love how most of the uneducated in the industry, or idiots, plain and simple, will say, well, it's only a recommendation. Go look up the word recommendation in the dictionary, then go look up the legal term of it when it comes from the manufacturer. Just like they recommend that you use 550, 520 weight oil. Well, if you put straight 60 weight oil in there, what's going to happen? Or they recommend that you use unleaded gas. What happens if you put diesel in there? You know, so this is the whole problem. The recommendations coming from the person who made it, not an outside source or a consultant or some third-party independent, kind of like some consumer company that tests stuff and then gives you their opinion. No, this is coming from the manufacturer itself. And the biggest salient point on this whole entire thing is the laziness of people within the industry not to look up the repair procedures and not follow the manufacturer. It seems that they're only experts or professionals when they know how to do it on their own and trial and error. I'm a real body man because I can make up my own procedure. I figured it out on my own. No one told me what to do. And that's the biggest problem.
Now, do you guys find it, I mean, do you find it to be a laziness? Although I agree, I mean, come on, it doesn't that hard to go look and find these procedures. But is it a laziness or is it just an uneducation, just
Ignorance.
a general knowledge of not knowing what the right thing to do is?
Well, it depends. I think it depends on the technician or the manager. You know, sometimes it's ignorance, where I've been doing this forever, I know what I'm doing.
Or greed. Greed also.
Or
No.
it could be arrogance. I've been doing this forever, and you know, you're not going to tell me how to fix a car, and I know how to do it.
Never had a
or
problem.
It could be greed. This is faster, and I've never had a problem with it. You know,
And I'll make
you know,
more money.
You know, the Alaska Airlines dropped an airplane out of the sky on a flight from Mexico to Seattle, and there was a jack screw in the back on the MD-80. And what happened was the Boeing basically recommended a certain type of grease. Alaska Airlines bought this other grease because it was a little cheaper, and it worked really well for 10 years. But then they traced it back to the wrong grease, the wrong viscosity, and it dropped a plane out of the sky.
So you had a problem.
Well,
Now, I guarantee you, Alaska Airlines is following Boeing's, rules to the T now.
I can tell you that when people say, well, it's only a recommendation, the OE calls it a recommendation for legal reasons as opposed to calling it a requirement, all right? But when you read it, even though it says recommendation, you should read that as requirement because this is the way they say their cars should be fixed. This is the entity that designed the car, manufactured it to crush in a particular way, and if this is how the OE is telling you to repair it, to continue to have the same type of strength and safety features, consider it a recommendation whether they've used, or consider it a requirement whether they've used that word or not.
So what are some tips for, so let's just be honest. I mean, it even happened on the CIC stage.
Yep.
And then again in the MSO symposium, while this case broke at NACE,
Yep.
we had presentations going on from insurers going, well, it's only a recommendation. And the body shops are presenting their evidence, and the insurer blatantly, I hate to pick on them, that was my career for so long, just says no. Hey, it's a recommendation, not a
But they
requirement.
have
I
no
wanna do it.
say in the matter.
What do shops do? What are some things? I mean, is it okay? Hey, Erica, if I go into court and go, look, I tried,
No.
but
No.
such and such insurance company said no.
No, because from the legal perspective, and again, it's going to depend on what your particular state law says, but as a general principle, you're talking about from legal standpoint and what ordinary people think. The ordinary people who are going to be the jury members who are deciding your fate as a body shop are going to be thinking, hey, there was an express detail description of how you were supposed to fix my car, and you didn't do that. Why wouldn't you have done that?
And you're the repair expert.
And you're the repairer.
Yep.
Not the
and
insurance company.
You're the expert.
You're the expert.
And the insurer is always going to say, as they have in the past and as they will in the future, we don't fix cars, we just pay to have cars repaired.
That's right.
And so even though we know that the insurers are significantly involved in materially interfering with how cars get fixed by putting economic pressure on shops, the
There's
bottom
no
line
factors.
is you're the expert, you're the one who's supposed to fix it properly, and properly in this instance, when you have OEM procedures, is to fix it according to the way that the OE says.
Yeah, if you look at California, like the Bar Bureau of Automotive Repair, the only repair you can do in California is what the OEM says.
I think some shops need to review that.
Well,
Yeah.
obviously,
Based on what I've inspected in California.
Yeah, they really do.
and you got to get, we wouldn't even be having this show today if, in particular, that shop would have just followed the OEM recommendation.
Right.
If they would have
Well, there would have eventually been somebody else, and
But
it's like,
we wouldn't have
But
the
we'd still be
perfect
arguing on
storm here.
Facebook in the forums, being told we don't know what we're talking about.
Yep.
I know better. I'm abusive. I'm unprofessional. I don't know what I'm talking about, and I keep laughing every time I leave court. And the shops that I wind up going against, not knowing until the very end, when we get to court, are the ones leaving crying and broke. And Eric and I have worked on numerous cases together, and we try and stress the same things. And I try and relate this to these guys, but they still don't want to follow. They don't want to pay for it. They want it for free. They don't want to take the time to go look it up. And it always goes back to two major things. They won't pay for it. And I go, who's they? The customer? No, the insurance company. The insurance company has no say in the matter. Okay? You might as well go ask McDonald's or Burger King what they think about collision repair, because they have as much say in collision repair as an insurance company does. And the other thing is, I don't know where to find it, and why should I have to pay for it? Well, you're supposed to. That's your research material. That's your process you have to go through. And it always goes back to greed. Well, I got a family to feed, and I ain't got time to do that. I have to make as much money as I can on each job.
And we see a lot of those posts.
Yeah.
Oh, I got to make a paycheck.
Yeah. So one of the things I want to cover real quick is, and we're going to hit some of the highlights of the case, but you know, we don't know the opposite engineering report. I want to be very clear that right now, all that we kind of have on this case is what the plaintiff attorney has put out, mostly in a PR type environment, getting some publicity or whatever around it. We are going to see the car tomorrow. I want to let people know that we are going to head to Texas, and we are going to get to see the car and talk to the plaintiff attorney. But we do have a great case, because a lot of times shops go, well, does it really make a difference? And so one of the things I want to encourage, and we pulled this, it was at SEMA this year in the Honda booth.
Yep.
Honda had a car that was repaired improperly. They found it and they crash tested it. And the results are in a video, the results are in a report that every shop can read. So when we talk about attachment methods, and attachment methods is how you put welded on parts back on the vehicle, and that could be something as simple as a roof scan like we have in this case, something that you think doesn't matter, can make a big difference in what is called the load transfer. So that's really what this case is about. It's saying that it redirected energy and caused the load to go somewhere it shouldn't. And this Honda is a great example. Energy went somewhere it shouldn't. It got mostly into the passenger compartment of this vehicle. And we design cars now to keep that energy out of that passenger compartment.
Yeah, that's the whole purpose.
Flopping around, not in.
Yeah, we learned that soft tissue injury was the result of most of the deaths in these accidents. And this is one of my favorite shots. These are the busted failed welds. So when we talk about making sure your welds are proper and testing your welds.
These welds failed because of bad resistance weld tips. Because you can tell by looking at it, it's not mag welds. Mag plug welds, it's resistance welds. It didn't hold because, and I see this numerous times throughout shops across the country. Matter of fact, we recently saw a few of them in shops where the resistance weld tips are not done right. I've seen actual cars and spray boots that I told management that quarter panel is going to fall off because I can break that with a key and stick it in between and start popping these things. And they did nothing about it because we can't pull a car out of production, out of the production process.
One car was in the booth we looked at.
Well, yeah, it was in the booth.
Right.
It's horrendous. Okay, I could make millions by just parking. Just name the state, name the area, and I can make millions by having a van saying, "I'll give you $300 to look at your car."
Larry, I'm pretty sure there's some state laws that say you can't own a van. Erica, I need you to probably verify that for me, but I'm pretty sure.
Why? I can't offer candy?
No.
I have candy and lotion that rubs it on its skin.
No candy or 10mm sockets.
Are there windows in the van?
No windows. Can't have windows.
No, but one of the great points in getting through this, there was a lot in this Honda car that'll probably come out, and we'll need to talk about it
We'll talk about the
in
welds
detail.
here real quick.
But so what I want you to kind of, the three of you guys to cover here is that following procedures is more than just pulling the procedure and trying to attempt to follow what's written in that procedure.
Correct.
It goes down to the equipment you use and the material you use.
And your
That's what's
training.
following. And your training.
The biggest thing is
and
you
then-
can't have rubber stamp OEM certification. Ridiculousness that you just take an online test or someone comes in and checks your shop to get the right equipment. There's no hands-on. This is lack of hands-on. It looks like they followed the procedure. They resistance welded it on. They didn't know how to use their resistance welder, which basically I could teach my mother in 5 minutes how to use a resistance welder.
Well, and the other thing on this that I see all over the country, is the weld test. They take their machine and they don't do a weld test and a destruction test and save that as evidence. How good would that be for an attorney?
I would be thrilled if clients did
Because those welds clearly failed. But did they even set the welder up?
But when your welds fail, look at here. Now you have ductile fractures that occurred in areas that were meant to either crush,
This is the dash.
or move into a different area, or shove it to a different area. So now you have this panel here that now is fractured in areas that it should have never fractured in because it failed.
This is scary. This tells me that there's a lot of internal forces that went into that. Now, Eric, as an attorney, when you're deposing someone at a shop, do following procedures go a little bit deeper? Do you question deeper than just did the shop pull the procedure, print it, and put it in the file?
Yes, absolutely. Because just saying, if I just asked that question and said, "Hey, did you follow the procedure?" and the shop said, "Well, yeah, I did," and if what they meant was I looked it up and I printed it out and I put it in the file, but I fixed the car a totally different way, then I haven't done my job. I haven't delved into it to find out, okay, tell me exactly, walk me through step by step exactly what you actually did.
Right. And the thing about this one, when you watch the video, and I really encourage everyone, if you haven't watched this, if you haven't seen the video, we did one, an episode from SEMA Live, and Roger Cada hosted that episode with Toby from Honda. This vehicle was designed to take an impact in the front and travel that down the uniside and out through the back. And what it did is it got to a point where the repair had been done and the energy took a sharp left and went straight into that passenger compartment. And so that's pretty scary. Just to wrap up, kind of following in the use of OE procedures, boy, it's changed.
Yeah.
Is there very many situations anymore where an attachment method is just one simple process?
No, we got rivets, we got adhesives, we've got MIG brazing, we've got slot welds. One of the big things with slot welds, it looks like a really kind of an oval plug weld. So people will take a mag welder and mag weld that in, where in some cases they're going to want a pulse MIG braze at either end of it and don't fill the whole thing in. And you got to know that.
Right.
The information's there. And we're not talking about exotic cars. We're talking a Chevrolet.
Yeah.
This happens to be the Cruise from
It's a 16, $19,000 car.
And this is really sad that I know I've seen these cars being repaired, and the ignorance that goes on because they don't know what they don't know, and then you add the stupidity and the arrogance and the ego into it, and yeah, I'll admit I get abusive with them. Because you're putting somebody's life.
It's a life.
You're putting somebody's life in danger.
Absolutely.
And I might be saving you from seeing me sitting across the courtroom. Because right now I can help you. If I'm sitting across the courtroom from you and I'm on her side, believe me, we've gone over questioning that she's going to destroy you on. I've gone over testimony with her that we're going to destroy you on. And there's nothing I can do for you then.
Yeah.
Well, this goes back to the whole I've been doing it for 30 years thing. If you're still using the same techniques you used 30 years ago, I'm scared.
Yeah, you don't belong in the business.
You don't belong in the business. If you have been doing it for 30 years and you've been keeping up and you've been learning about the new techniques and the way these vehicles are made, because the critical thing is these vehicles are now designed to do everything they can to protect the passenger compartment. And your job as a collision repairer really is to make certain that once it's been in an accident, it can continue to perform and to protect the safety of the people in the passenger compartment.
Yeah, and so to drill down, this is one of these situations so that if you're a shop owner or you're a technician and you understand, if we come to your shop or an attorney comes to your shop and pulls a vehicle or a vehicle's in their research lab or whatever, following OE procedures is also counting welds. If I expect to have one spot weld in a particular area, number 2, and then I have 31 there, we're going to count the welds.
But it's also not
18
only,
doesn't get it.
It's not just 18, but it's also weld spacing too. You might have welds very close, and then a 2-inch gap, and then different.
And this
welds.
picture is very descriptive of it, and it's similar to the way Mercedes-Benz does. It's actually, you can count the rivets or the welds in the photo, and the spacing, even though you can't measure on the photo, is similar to what you're going to see on the vehicle, which is probably next to the original welds. You have to follow this. You can't add more welds. You can't take away welds. You can even use the wrong equipment. And I'm tired of hearing, well, my equipment salesman, my paint supplier, my product supplier told me I could do it. Nobody cares what they have. Nobody cares about anybody's opinion except one person, the OEM.
And I look at this and say, that's exactly like the doctor saying, well, the pharmaceutical rep told me that this would be a really good drug. He just doesn't know that I was going to give it to Mr. Jones. And he doesn't know what Mr. Jones's conditions are. So Larry's absolutely right about that, Kristen, that it doesn't matter what anybody else says unless they're going to sign a document that says, I will be completely and totally liable and indemnify you for anything that happens if you use my product, if you use my procedure, if you agree to do it the way I want it. And again, I would never encourage anybody to do that. And that's what I tell the shops who are always telling me, oh, well, the insurance company, ... It's like, unless the insurer is going to be liable for the manner in which you repair that car, and you get that in writing, you've got no business listening to what the insurer tells you.
Right.
Well, and then, and then you get the sales guys that come in and they got the copper weld-through primer.
Yeah.
And any shop that has copper weld-through primer, there's no OEM that recommends that
Period. No.
Yeah.
So any shop owners out there, go see how much
Well,
copper wealthy primer you have.
Today. They just came out with another one about wealth primer.
Right.
There's another
I
article
just
about
still
it.
can't. It's 2017, and we
you
still have to have a
talk about it.
discussion on
You
welfare
have to be
primer.
in people's heads.
Yeah.
The one point back on that again is I love all the stuff on and I love all the Facebook lawyers on collision repair technicians. And that. They're all Facebook lawyers. They're
Erica, how do you feel about
engineers.
Facebook lawyers?
Yeah, they're great.
Yes,
Well,
and I play
have
one
a-
on Facebook.
I have a hold harmless. How well is a hold harmless going to hold up in court? Now, I'm not a lawyer, you're not.
Right.
She is. And I know from working with her, they don't hold up in court. But Erica,
Well, I'm going to tell you, even if you have one and even if it's good, the bottom line is you're still going to get sued.
right.
And the only thing it's good for is to allow you to recover your expenses, and if you end up getting, if and when you lose, you can go back to, in this case, we'll say the insurer or the material supplier and say, hey, I did this based on your recommendation, and now you have to pay me back everything I had to pay. But your reputation's still damaged. I mean, you are now, obviously, you look like you're a stooge in the industry because you're willing to do what anybody will tell you,
Right.
to do. But, I mean, it's just not a good idea, and any lawyer will tell you, if the OE tells you how to fix it, fix it that way.
Do it.
It's
And
easy.
Pretty simple.
And you have to look it up every day on every car. I don't care if you just did a Chevy
Yeah,
it's
Malibu
true.
quarter panel yesterday, do it again today. Because if you look at the older GM procedures from like 3-4 years ago,
Oh, yeah.
it was very much a ambiguous type repair. You can resistance weld it, you can plug weld it, or you can glue it if you want. Follow
Right.
glue makers' recommendations,
Yeah.
follow this type procedure for the. So they had some ambiguity and left it open. Now you look at some of the newer GM
Now
stuff.
they've tightened it up and said,
Right.
It's
this
no
is it.
longer
Right.
one of these three choices. Now you have to do it this way
Right.
and only this way, and that's
Right.
very important. For
So that's
people
a
to
good.
realize.
It's
So,
a good.
so I can't follow the YouTube video that was posted in
no.
2000?
No,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
So that's a good segue for the question we got
Yeah.
in here, because we're going to get. So Eric has asked, does this bring the OEM as a co-defendant into the repair process, Erica?
Well, it depends. I mean, if the OE has told you how to repair the vehicle and you follow what the OE tells you, then potentially, yes, because the OE has made a specific recommendation / requirement for how the vehicle should be repaired.
And you have to be able to prove that you
Yeah,
followed the
and you have to be able to prove that.
photos, documentation, everything.
Right. And likely, yes. I will say almost every instinct of every plaintiff's lawyer out there, if they have a vehicle case, is to automatically sue the manufacturer. Right? So in this particular instance where we're dealing with
where the pockets
Honda,
are. Yeah.
that's most likely because that's what people like me are thinking. They don't know that much about collision repair, but they're thinking, oh, this vehicle didn't perform the way it was supposed to, and these people got burnt, or almost burned to death, or they died, or whatever in your particular instances. So the OE is almost always going to end up as at least an initial defendant in the case.
And they usually walk away just like the insurance company.
Well, and
Yeah,
they
in a
often
way.
do,
Unless you
and
can show private liability issues,
often,
it's
rare.
often because they were correct in their statement that this was not the manner in which our vehicle was put out into the stream of commerce, and depending on the specifics of your state law, they may very well not have liability, and that's okay because that's the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah. So let's dive into a little bit about. We've been talking for the last 2-3 years in this industry about OE certification and becoming an OE certified shop, and how important that's going to be in the future for getting business, getting claims. Is OE certification going to become the new DRP, so to speak, for feeding work to a facility? And being an OE certified shop came up a lot in this deposition, even though at the time of this claim in Texas, there was not a Honda certified program. We hadn't gotten there yet. We were thinking about doing a little bit of that then. But it brought up a lot about what the consumer's expectation is of a certified facility, and then what the heightened legal responsibility is going to be. So if you're a shop and you've paid and you've got these certificates on your wall now, Erica,
That's the
have
problem.
you
You paid.
well,
You're not
well,
trained. You got paid. You got a stamp.
but that doesn't matter. I have a,
still says it on the wall.
I am a
Still says it on the wall.
certified
It's an
repair
overused
facility.
word.
Yeah.
And the
Erica,
consumer's being misled.
have I heightened my exposure?
Absolutely you have, because you were always presumed to know how to repair these vehicles. You have now been given basically the housekeeping seal of approval, that gold stamp that says the manufacturer says you are the right shop to fix their vehicle. So yes, your customers are going to have a heightened expectation that you will know absolutely the correct way to fix whatever the vehicle is, and that the manufacturer is looking over your shoulder and is going to make certain that you fix it the way the manufacturer wants. So that raises the issue, of course, that people have asked me, well, does that give the manufacturer heightened liability? And the answer to that is yes, it does. The manufacturers are recommending that people patronize your shop.
Yeah.
They have said you are the right shop to go to if you have my whatever vehicle.
Right.
I mean, let's face it, the OEM wants their cars fixed correctly.
Right.
It's
They do.
their brand identity. It's
Right.
their brand. I mean, they
Right.
want to protect their brand.
Right.
They just do.
But as an insurer, I would go in, let's say it was a DRP shop, I would go in a court case and go, hey, I'm not a vehicle expert. We do our best to try to
write a
pick
check.
good partners or whatever. But it's hard for me to go in as the OEM and go, I'm not the vehicle expert. I just do my best to
that
pick.
doesn't work real well.
Yeah, that's not going to play well in court. So while an insurer is typically dismissed and let go, I mean, I think this case, in the three of you, in your professional opinion, has it heightened the sensitivity, awareness of the OEMs? Because this was in fact a dealership that did this.
It has to
It has
heighten
to.
the issue of the dealership
Yeah.
ownership, but it has to also heighten the word certified. I
Right.
mean, there's some companies out there that probably wouldn't worry about the word certified because they have pretty well trained programs and stuff like that. There
Yeah.
are other ones that don't have really any training at all. You just buy a bunch of equipment, someone comes in and checks it and makes sure it's okay.
Yeah.
There's no, you're assuming they know what they're doing. You
Right.
assume they are doing a good job, and you're really not doing a really good check of it. Now you're certified. The customer or the consumer, the general driving public, assumes, oh, certified means good, that you know what you're doing, and you're approved for this. And I think the word's been really watered down so badly.
Yep.
You know, it's become comical. You know, I'm
Yeah.
almost embarrassed sometimes to say I'm certified by certain
Yeah.
companies.
I mean, these
Heck,
are our favorite programs because these guys are serious.
Yeah.
I mean, they got some teeth in their program. They
You'll
have,
probably see at least one
Yeah.
or two of these programs, and I'm missing a few on there, but you'll probably see one or two of these real certified programs, the ones that restrict parts and require training, hands-on and stuff. You're probably going to see where they're leasing and
Yeah.
financing through, you know, the OEM bank
Mm-hmm.
is going to require, not recommend, require you bring it back to one of our certified, and that's probably going to come up next year. I can't say who yet, but you're going to
Yeah.
see that, and that's going to that's going to be like you said, the DRP type situation there.
You know,
so
and
we got another question, Mark, and I'm going to
yeah,
get to it real
go
quick.
ahead,
Because we also are going to cover this a little later. So Ivy's asking about what happens when the OE changes the procedures, and we know they do. I've often joked about one time they changed them in the middle of a class I was teaching. And
We
so
had two events one time.
yeah, so I left at lunch saying, here's how you do a BMW quarter panel one way, and I had to come back and go, never mind, we got to start the class all over
Yep.
again. But when an OE changes the procedure, well, how does that affect a shop? I mean, what do we do?
Just follow those procedures that way, and the legal experts here. But
Yep.
if I print it out on Monday and it tells me to change this quarter panel on X vehicle, and I do it that way, and I have it printed out in that folder
Yep.
for that car on that date, and then 2 days later I get another X model in, and in between they change the sectioning procedure. I follow that procedure. That's why everyone's stressing, print it out, put it in the folder, or electronically in the folder. Have the date stamp when you print it out, or when you actually save the file. It's the date stamp from that date.
Yep.
So Erica could go in and say, no, Mr. So-and-so, you're wrong in this case. My shop followed this procedure on Monday. On Wednesday, my client followed this procedure. It changed. You didn't know what you were looking for. And that's the problem.
Right.
Yep.
So
Yep.
that's why you have to print it out every day, look every day. I don't care if you worked in the morning, Mark put on a quarter panel on a car, the afternoon he's doing another one just like it, go print it out again.
It's every car,
Yeah.
every time you're in your estimating system, you're in a computer. Guess
Right.
what? You
Right.
got to pull
Yep.
it right then.
I can tell you from the lawyer's perspective, again, just on what we have to do for our cases, when we're making representations to the judge in anything we do, when you're signing a case, you are required to have immediately looked up to make certain that that case is still good law before you submit it. And that's usually the last thing you do before you hit the print button and sign it. So,
It's the last thing we should do. There's a difference between pulling procedures for the estimating purposes of ensuring that I'm writing an accurate estimate, and also that I'm repair planning. What's going to have to happen to the car?
Right.
Is it going to have to go to the
Right.
dealership, et cetera? But then there is another pull that has to happen when that car is in that technician's stall. I may write the estimate on Monday, but the car may not make it to the tech till next
No,
week.
the tech has to pull it.
Right.
Every tech on his toolbox has to have a computer. I don't care if it's an Apple iPro, I don't care if it's a Surface, I don't care if it's a regular desktop computer or a laptop computer.
A Kindle
Have
Fire.
access
I don't
to
care.
anything that can use the access to the OEM online that can go through anything. Now I do know some of the German companies a little bit of a pain in the ass with you have to use Internet Explorer, and it can't even be an updated one. It's got to be like 3 years old. It's a pain. Some of them will not work on there, but
Germans.
everything else works. I mean, all data works on a phone. All data is good for estimators.
Right.
Do not use all data to repair cars. I'm sorry, there's just not enough information in there. Go to
Right.
the source. Why does everybody in this industry have to circumvent and move around and get away from what you should be doing and go pay for another service when some of the stuff is either free or cheaper than paying for that service?
Right, and sometimes we get caught up looking for a cheap. We seem to want it. We always want things cheap, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? We want to save money, but we always want it easy. We're just like, why can't
easy and right
I
on
want it
check.
easy and right on whatever. And then some things just aren't easy because there's lives at stake,
It's your
and we
job.
need to be
You
okay
have
with
to
that.
do your job.
Yeah.
Learn your job.
You know,
And again-
it still cracks me up. I get questions often like, oh my gosh, what do I do on a General Motors or Chrysler? It's like, you know what? That stuff's free on the internet. Just log in.
Right, exactly. So let's talk about the other thing that I think the big rock that
Here
came
we go.
out of this case.
Oh yeah.
Is that so? What was really interesting here is that it is the person that's filing suit against this dealership was not the person that brought the car to the body shop for repair. That was a different person who then, after the vehicle was brought back, took it to another dealership on the other side of the town, traded it in, got a new car, and these are the secondary owners of the vehicle. So it brings up a really good discussion. What is the difference between warranty, which is I offer a lifetime warranty on the car for as long as that person owns it or whatever,
Right.
and liability? Erica, take us through that.
Okay. Your warranty is what you, as the person who has done the repairs, are guaranteeing that you will fix and make right if there are any defects or problems. And again, based on whatever the parameters are, however long you own the car, for a year, for whatever. Okay? So that is effectively, it's like a contract in a way. And I always tell people warranties are a lot like insurance policies, right? Because they're going to tell you what they cover and what they don't cover. Unfortunately, and most warranties are limited to whomever that they were sold to, written for, and they are specifically related to using your service or the purchase price of a product, as opposed to liability, which is going to follow you everywhere. I mean, liability is yours, you own it, you touched the car. If it wasn't done right, it doesn't matter really who it hurts. And again, this can vary depending on your state law, but as a general principle, when you think about it, it's like, as a society, we want people who get harmed through no fault of their own to be able to recover, in this case, like the medical costs and pain and suffering, because if you didn't do your job correctly, we're still going to hold you liable even though you did it incorrectly for someone else who
Right.
has since sold the car on to a different party.
Right. So this brings up a good point because we hear this online all the time. Hey, I know, we'll see a guy post a picture of a repair.
Yeah.
And the three of us gasp in unison. I swear, I think I can hear you in New York and you in Oregon when we see the picture come up. And it never fails. Hey, I know this isn't a right repair, but the lady can't afford another car and didn't want it to total, and so we're helping her out.
So
It's always
send
the
down
little
the
old
block.
lady thing.
Yeah.
Erica, helping out the little old lady, could it end me in court?
Oh, absolutely. And while you think you're doing something nice, and I get that, I really understand the I want to help somebody who maybe doesn't have the money to be able to replace this car, but you have to think two things. One, is this the right repair, number one? And if the answer is no, then it's a no. And two, who could it harm down the road?
Right.
And so you may be helping out the little old lady who only drives her car to the grocery and back, but she may end up giving that car to her grandson,
Exactly.
who's going to take it to college,
Yep.
and
Right.
drive 3,000 miles across the
Right.
country.
Or sell it on Craigslist.
Or sell it on
whatever.
Craigslist to
Yeah.
an unsuspecting person who doesn't know. So
Right.
you're really not helping.
So this is really cradle to grave.
Yeah.
I talk about vehicles. I talk about life cycle, vehicle life cycle. Because it is, as you said, it is cradle to grave. And that has been my biggest complaint with the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, is that they are only looking out for newly manufactured vehicles. And that's it.
Right.
So that's my point is we don't have enough appropriate oversight of the life cycle of the vehicle to ensure that these vehicles stay safe.
Right.
A big issue on that liability issue too, a second part of that is, besides the little lady story,
Yeah.
we have numerous times where somebody takes off a fender, takes off a door, and they say, oh wow, look at this improper repair from another job.
Yep.
The insurance company says, well, they picked their own shop, they did this, we're denying it, and you go, okay, well, I'll just repair my stuff. Guess what? You own
it now.
that
Yeah.
entire repair, and then you have everyone doing these post-repair inspections. Now, I do a very select group of post-repair inspections. They all get totaled. They all get bought back. End of story. Now, if it's a paint job, hey, knock yourself out. You want guaranteed paint. You don't want to strip it down to bare metal, knock yourself out. Once you get into, or even replacement parts, knock yourself out, change the parts. When you get into structure, you do realize you can't fix bad welding. Well, I'm going to re-weld it. No. You got to cut that piece off that's wrong and any piece that they attached it to. So now you wind up, really cutting into the car. And if you don't do that, guess what? Whatever you decide to leave that you think is good from the other shop, you now own it, not the other shop. You can't go, oh, well, it failed. Well, I only fixed the outside and Mark did the other repair. No. Erica's going to go, guess what? I'm not suing Mark. I'm suing you, Larry.
Absolutely right.
You're at fault for this.
Right.
But once again, all the Facebook lawyers get on there, and they're all idiots. They embarrass themselves with the stupidity that they can't even read common sense stuff that you can even look up really
for the
on Google.
life of me, I'll go back to and put my insurance hat on. I never understood why a shop was willing to re-repair somebody else's bad work. It was like, you gotta be kidding me.
Well, it's like, just to reiterate what you're saying, Larry. So you put a course board on a car.
Yep.
It goes to the next shop, and now it's got a 2-hour dent in it from the next collision, and it's an improper welded-on part. Actually, what we need to do is replace the core support and the inners and the frame rails and everything all the way back because of the bad repair on. So
So
this is a big deal. Now,
And you give the insurance company a choice. Here, look, it's together. Take it now. You can sell it.
Better salvage, yeah.
Guess what? If not, I'm going to go through it. I'm going to cut everything off. Then you're going to sell a car in 400 pieces. It's your choice. Choose wisely.
So I'm going to take, we got a question coming in from Eric. Says, how can Progressive, just as an insurance, or an insurance company in general, not just specifically that insurance company, how can an insurance company warranty your repairs? And basically, anyone can warranty anything.
Yeah.
I mean, so and with my insurance hat on, I'll put that back on again and go, it was really pretty simple. I would warranty repairs through the DRP program, but I didn't even really have to warranty them because part of the DRP contract agreement, so the shop was going to take care of it all anyway.
Right.
And the only time I really had to warranty it as an insurer was one, if that shop had then gone out of business when the claim was made, or two, at the insured moved to another town and that shop wasn't there. But then we would take care of that and we'd send the bill back to the shop.
Well, that's a big advantage to the DRP system.
Right.
It's they give you a lifetime warranty or guarantee to the workmanship quality. So if I live in New York, I have my car fixed to the DRP, and I moved to California now, and I don't know, they had bad paint at the time. There was a bad batch of paint that came out, or the factory part, or the hopefully not the knockoff imitation junk part, or the junkyard part failed for some reason. Whatever goes wrong, I go back to the insurance company and say, oh wow, we did fix that, that fell apart, the paint's delaminating, the part bracket broke off, no fault of your own, you didn't abuse it, okay, we'll take care of it. Now in California, I go to a shop. If I go to an independent shop, and I'm in New York City, and I move to California, I got to bring the car back to New York City to get you to do it. Otherwise, it becomes a legal thing. And really, if I'm in California and your shop wants to, sue Mark, or I want to sue him, I have to go back to New York to sue Mark, or Mark has to show up in California.
Yep.
But it's not going to happen. That's what's so hard.
Now, Erica, I do want to clarify just before we got another question coming in, but I hear often. Oh, I don't say often. Recently, I'm hearing an insurer coming back and saying like, hey, Mr. Body Shop, if you'll use the parts, we'll warranty them. So let's say it's an aftermarket core support or something that's structural, and that's a Progressive saying, hey, I'm going to warranty it. Is the shop, does that liability transfer to the insurer because they're going to warranty it, or is the shop still liable for installing that part?
Shop is still liable for installing that part. I don't care what the insurer says.
Even if the customer, who actually is the owner of the car, tells you, put these used airbags in, put this knockoff imitation crap part in my car, take this junkyard part and throw it in my car, you're still liable because you're supposed to know, but you have a fiduciary obligation
Customer's
to the
not an
consumer
expert.
to know. Right. They're not an expert. You're the expert in this case.
Okay,
Yeah.
so Erica, I'm going to read this question to you coming in from John. It says, given liability follows the cars, is there any legal duty from a shop to report a repair to Carfax, both if they did it wrong intentionally for the little old lady, or they did the repair properly? So do we have a duty to report to Carfax?
Well, first of all, there's no duty to report to Carfax.
Okay.
Okay, first and foremost. Again, unless there's some obscure state law out there somewhere that I've never heard of that says thou shalt report to Carfax.
Yeah.
Okay, so no. There is a potential argument to be made that you should at least notify. And one of the things that I've said, let's say that you do that repair for the little old lady. Okay, potentially. You can try to limit your liability by coming up with a nice little form or document that says, we have repaired this vehicle for you because of your circumstances, whatever, and you absolutely guarantee that you will notify anyone you give this car to or sell this car to, trade in, whatever, about the circumstances of this repair. Is that going to work? Maybe.
Maybe not.
I wouldn't want to rely on
Well,
it.
if somebody dies,
I'm not rolling the dice on
that's
that one.
that's a real roll of the dice.
Yeah, it is. But all I'm saying is that's the shop asked about duty. Do I have a duty to do this? That would be one of the few things I would say would be something that might help insulate you a bit. And then I'm going to get other lawyers who would say, "Oh my God, are you nuts? That's just going to point out the fact that you did something wrong and you knew you were doing
Which
it
basically
wrong."
goes back to my opinion.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
Yeah.
If you can't, you don't need the money that badly. And I'll say one other thing about Carfax. Because there's not a report in Carfax doesn't mean the car has not been in an accident.
Oh, absolutely.
But if there is
Right.
a report in Carfax, it's been in at least one incident. And you also have to keep in mind that when you look at Carfax, it tells a lot about a story. If you see the car goes every 3,500 miles to the dealer, and the guy's bought tires at the dealer, guy gets his oil changed done at the dealer, he gets his state inspection done at the dealer, you gotta look and say, well, maybe mechanically, this car's really a very well-built car.
Right.
And if it doesn't involve a collision, find out if the shop who did the repairs is the OEM certified shop.
Right.
Audi, Porsche, Benz, whatever. And if it went to one of those shops, a lot of your guarantees and warranties are still held within there because it went to the certified
Right.
shop. So that's one thing to look at.
Right.
Another question
That's
coming
a
in.
great question.
On
that
this
was a
particular case out of Texas, why are they going after the insurance company and not solely the shop? I think all four of us agree that there was no case here against the insurance
Never.
company.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
And the only
Okay.
thing I would say
The
is,
attorney says.
well,
All right, well, three of us agree.
Us three idiots that have a piece of paper on the wall that says our opinion matters. Well, go ahead there, smarty
well,
pants.
as a Facebook lawyer, my understanding, and again, if my facts are incorrect, let me know. But my understanding is that the shop was a direct repair for State Farm. And as a direct repair for State Farm, the shop wrote the estimates ostensibly on behalf of State Farm. They were effectively handling the claim for State Farm.
As an agent for them.
Exactly. So there is a potential there that if they wrote, I haven't seen the estimate, so if they wrote the estimate in any way that could be perceived as saying, gee, this is using the glue as opposed to their bonding as opposed to the welding procedure, I think that there is potential liability.
And you have to be licensed in that state too.
But
so
I think,
that's
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
frankly,
That's different, too. That makes it worse.
I think there is a very good argument for saying that if you're the direct repair and you
They're
are
culpable.
effectively handling this for the insurance company, you're basically married.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
again,
Now we do know as an update, we got an update on the story. I believe yesterday afternoon that the case against State Farm has been dismissed.
But we still don't know if that argument was made the way you said
yeah,
it.
and I don't know on what basis.
Yeah, that's the
Right,
whole
they
thing.
were-
Right, so we got a lot to learn, which we're going to be learning tomorrow.
Figure it out tomorrow.
And stay tuned, right? Which is why we're going
Yeah.
to stay
Maybe
kind
Monday,
let
State
me
Farm's
put
back
it-
on the chopping
Yeah.
block.
Well, let me put it this way. If it were not a DRP shop for State Farm, I would say they don't have a case against State Farm.
Yeah.
Okay.
So non-DRP. So
Yeah.
awesome.
Well, in this particular case, or any case, you never see where you see a one line under it going, we're going to cut the time to save money.
Right.
Or we're going to shortcut the repair and
Used
not
to
follow
see-
OEM to save
used
money.
to see that, or
Well,
you still
used
see
to.
paint above molding, half the refinish time. What the is that? How do I
That's
paint
them,
above molding?
that's them using mob type tactics to bully and push you around.
But that's not going to kill somebody.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I want to, Larry, I'm going to have you and Mark answer this question really quickly because I do want to move into shop liability
actually-
coverage and some other things.
So a
it
lot of
says there's-
people.
Yep. Go ahead, Mark.
A lot of people give a different name on the definition: structural and non-structural damage. Can you tell me the right definition? That's Irene that sent that question.
Yep.
It's dependent on the OEM,
Yeah.
what they classify. For example, BMW, anything that's not bolted onto the car
Structure.
is structure. Now, bumpers fall into safety, is what they consider that. Bumper rail extensions that are bolted on fall into a different category for safety. But glass is considered structure. Mercedes-Benz, on the other hand, is like, well, glass breaks, it's not structure. Yes, it adds to the structural, the torsional ability of the vehicle. Audi, for example, any collision that causes a deformation to a part or displaces a component, even if it's bolt-on. So if I got a door and let's say I kick it as hard as I can and I dent the door and we got to change the door, it goes in the frame machine. It says it right in the repair manual. So this is why each
So basically,
manufacturer.
there is no strict hard definition of structural,
No.
and we're going to have to go to the repair and body manual for each of the manufacturers.
I mean,
each
probably
time.
bumper fascias would probably be a non-structural
Non-structural.
component.
Right.
Anything that
But they
changes
can't kill somebody now, so.
well, if you paint over the wrong spot. Basically, when you can really look at it, can it affect airbag timing? Can it affect the occupant protection within the vehicle or the general driving public? For example, a headlight is not structural, but a headlight can affect everybody else if it's not put in properly. Yeah. And that whole asinine term of, well, you took the headlight out and you put it back in, you don't have to aim it. Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
Well, and I would like to throw in there too, Kristen, that from the auto auction perspective, the National Auto Auction Association, they pretty much define anything that's not bolted on, like Larry said, as structural. And the disclosure requirements under the auto auction standards are that if there has been any type of structural repair to the vehicle that has not been repaired according to the OE procedures, that is required to be disclosed at sale, at wholesale, I should say. It's an auction rule, but that's all over the country. That's in Canada. And the reason I raise that is particularly for shops that are affiliated with dealerships. If you're fixing cars for your dealership and your dealer is going to potentially take that car in trade, you need to make certain that your dealer, your used car manager knows when that vehicle gets shipped off, this thing, either if you fixed it without following the OE procedures,
you put a used quarter on it.
You're gonna have to tell that manager to make sure they make the disclosure.
And let me add one more thing to that real quick. So let's take a quarter panel. You know, a lot of manufacturers will consider the quarter panel not to be structural. So here's my question. So let's take the quarter panel off. Quarter panel's on national back order. We did the tear down. Let's just let the customer drive the car without a quarter panel and see how that does in the next collision.
Right.
No, that quarter panel is part of the structure of that car and the protection, even if they
It
don't
could be a
call it
secondary or
structural.
tertiary
Exactly.
type structure.
Unibody means everything matters.
Unibody.
Yeah.
So we're gonna move on to shop liability. We got another question coming in, and we are gonna take that because we actually even talked about that this morning. I used to tell every adjuster that I trained, it's not a matter of if you're going to court, it's just a matter of when. So we all know that hangs over us. I am constantly amazed at the number of shop owners and technicians that don't understand what they are and are not insured for.
Yep.
So let's break that down, guys. Garage Keepers liability is the main thing that oversees a shop. Erica, does Garage Keepers cover technicians?
Usually not.
Not. So
No.
as an independent technician, if I'm named in the suit, who's defending me?
You are.
Right. Am I liable if I did a repair? Let's say I knew I shouldn't have put a used quarter panel. GM said don't put it on the car, and I did it anyway. Am I liable?
100%.
I can be
Well,
named.
he's really
Absolutely.
smart. He's going to go after the tech.
Yeah, I can be named separately.
That's just to show the point.
And I will tell you that I've had a lot of experience with this. If you're the tech who did it wrong and somebody gets killed, you're the person who's going to jail.
Yep.
Right? And I mean, that sounds, I had a lot of people be very upset with me the first time I said that a number of years ago. But I'm like, I've seen it happen. And you're the person ultimately who is responsible for having killed somebody.
Well, wait a minute. My boss said I had to do it this way.
Tough.
And you know what?
You're the one who
Nazis
did
in
it.
Nuremberg used the same excuse.
You got it.
And like 30 of them got executed. I think only 3 people got off for improper police arrests in the Nuremberg cases, but they didn't work for the Nazis.
Yeah.
No.
So as a shop owner, so we'll just take it from that level. One, technicians, you look for a policy or do something, figure out how you're going to defend yourself. But as a shop owner, what does my Garage Keepers cover and not cover if I don't follow an OEM procedure?
I'm going to let you guys.
Let me take that one.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not an attorney. Let's say it up front. But generally, when I get involved in these cases, the shops say, "Well, my Garage Keepers will cover it," and the Garage Keepers will get involved and defend the case. The problem is, whatever the judgment comes out to, it could be $1 million or $10 million. Shop writes the check for that, so it's only defense, and you're the attorney, you know. But bottom line is that it doesn't cover the bad repair.
No.
And the liability. It's just that it'll cover some defense. That's
it again, I hate to say this because it's such a weaselly lawyer thing to say. It depends on the terms of your policy.
Yeah.
And
sometimes you want to save money, you don't get the full boat.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
sometimes your agent that you're buying it from doesn't tell you your options and stuff. That's why you got to contact your lawyer and ask your lawyer, what coverage should I get? Well, you know, they're never going to tell you, go ask your insurance agent. No, this is the coverage that you need so I can defend you, and it doesn't cost you tons of money.
Now, Erica, does it fall in, because we know under like just a private passenger auto or commercial auto policy, there's always that intent, right? If you operate your vehicle with an intent to cause harm, it violates the policy.
Absolutely.
And Garage Keepers, if I do not follow an OEM procedure, does that policy then see that as an intent? I intentionally did something I shouldn't have done.
That is such a great question. I would say initially, no. It would be hard to argue that rises to the level of and it's really the intent to cause harm in this case. Like, I did it with such reckless disregard that I did nothing right. Not usually. However, now I think you have a potential, and this goes back to the Texas case, where now to the extent that you have people from the shop saying, this is the way we fix all these.
Yeah.
Now we know we have, if they continue to do that, then you have an argument to be made that you knew exactly the kind of harm that could be caused, and continuing to fail to follow the OE procedures might arguably rise to the level of intent.
Now, does that intent transfer to me as an insurer? So let's say I've been notified that Mark's Body Shop isn't fixing cars properly, and I leave them on the DRP program and to continue to refer customers to them.
I would say, right?
Everything after the point that I've been notified, am I now intent as an insurer?
I think that you have substantially increased your liability, your potential liability as a DRP insurer.
Right.
I just want to make certain that we're making the distinction here between the garage carrier and the referring auto carrier.
Yeah. I'm sure right now in this particular case in Houston, that particular insurance company that's involved is surely looking at that deposition, which was one of the most idiotic depositions I've ever read in my life. And then from there on out, I'm sure they're looking at, wait a second.
Yeah.
Erica's got a good point. I'm sure they're watching. Hey, that's a good point. We might be liable for everything. We got to drop them off the program. We can't have them on the program because they just admitted that they're doing this intently, doing this, knowingly doing this. You have an ongoing criminal act of negligence that you can be under civil RICO, or if the state decides to take over, you can be criminal RICO as an ongoing criminal enterprise.
But over the last couple of years, I have watched as insurers are put on notice of post-repair inspections and bad repair issues. Even the Hendricks case out of North Carolina, they're still on the damn DRP program.
Right.
So, I mean, at no point were they ever removed, ever given a performance and improvement plan or a cooling off session. And I think it's because insurers, we just think, well, the shop's warranted and they're going to indemnify us and protect us from liability.
Which also,
this is different.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
Doesn't that nullify your garage insurance policy?
Pretty much.
If you go ahead and I indemnify, I can't transfer my insurance policy to somebody else.
Absolutely.
I'm indemnifying you personally. So if I'm on a DLP program and I write, and I'll tell you this much, anybody who signs a DLP agreement, I guarantee you, if you talk to, because I got it from Erica who said, if you talk to your lawyer or your accountant, they'll tell you, I can't work for you anymore. You're too stupid to work for. You sign that contract, I can't defend you anymore.
Well, Larry, I've been meaning to tell you. No, but Larry's absolutely right. That's been one of the things I've harped on for years, is the fact that you can't sign an agreement that you will agree to indemnify your referring auto carrier friend, partner, or DRP person without notifying your garage carrier and getting your garage carrier's express
Right.
approval of that,
Right.
unless you're making it very clear that you're going to be indemnifying totally out of your pocket. And most shop owners just do not understand that.
Nope. I've seen a few cases where you see the
You got it.
representative from the insurance company go, "You signed what?" And suddenly there's a recess.
Well,
Yeah, we want to dismiss from the case. How can stand there by himself?
Exactly.
I've seen it happen where the garage carrier's subsidiary, and the garage carrier says, "I didn't agree to indemnify my subsidiary."
Yeah.
Go to town.
Yeah.
Not going to happen.
It happens a lot where I think shops think they're covered, and then
Yeah.
they get some of these verdicts. I mean, if it's $600,000 in Hendricks, or if it's $1 million or whatever it ends up being in Texas,
Yeah.
that I can't write that check. That's going
Right.
to close my entire business.
Yeah.
Even if I may have
Right.
3 or 4 locations,
It's,
that's going to
it's
shut me
every
down.
car, every time, and one every job could put you out of business. I mean,
Right.
in this particular case, and just lots of them out there. This is a hail damaged roof.
Right.
Yeah.
This
It
is
could be
not a major
hundreds.
telephone pole
Right.
hit.
It wasn't a frame rail. It wasn't
No,
something that we
no.
thought we'd take extra time with. So if you are a technician one, you need to sit down with your shop owner and talk about your exposure individually as a person, legally for civil liability plus potential criminal
Absolutely.
as
Why do
it
you
goes
wanna
down.
talk to your lawyer and buy your own
Right.
insurance for yourself?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
Especially as an independent contractor.
Yep. Talk to your insurance company. Is there differences between if I'm a full-time employee versus a commission technician at a body shop?
Absolutely. Good point.
Yeah. So
Yep.
there's a lot of things that I need to think about and do as a technician at a shop. Now, technicians, let's go to shop owners. Shop owners, you need to review your policy for liability on I say every 6 months. Some people say once a year. I say every 6 months you need to go visit. You need to visit that policy every time you make a change, whether you add a DRP or you become a certified shop for one of the OEMs, whatever changes in your facility. Go visit with that garage keeper's liability policy and see what you're covered for or not. Ask questions. If I do this, then what? Because you may find that we got a lot of shop owners that have worked hard. A lot of them, for a majority of our shop owners, started as technicians. Some of them are second and third generations. They've worked hard for the homes they own, the cars they drive, and in a moment's notice, those
Could be all
suddenly all belong to a court.
Yep.
You got it.
So let's take that seriously. Now, I get asked all the time. In fact, I took 2 phone calls yesterday on this.
Well, we talked about it this morning.
Yeah, how do I suit-proof my collision repair center? Erica, can I be suit-proof?
Yeah. Don't do any collision repairs.
Yeah, okay.
That's the only way.
Open a hot dog stand. See?
And then you potentially have food poisoning liability.
Larry's
But
got
that's-
right
You're dead
on.
anyway, so you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
You're miles away before
Yeah.
you die.
Yeah.
People ask me all the time, how can I make sure that I don't get sued? And that's what I always say. Stop doing collision repairs. And as a lawyer, make sure I don't get sued. Stop practicing
Yep.
law.
Yep.
Right.
I mean, that's the only way. But there are things you can do to limit it.
To limit it
Right.
or
So let's
make
talk
it
about
easy to
those.
defend.
So
Yeah.
based on your experience defending shops or even going after claims for other, what are some things shops need to be doing right now? We can start today. Hey, we might have been bad the whole rest of the time,
Right.
but I can start today with every car in my shop doing this. What would some of those things be?
Document, document, document. Right? What you do, whether it's you have all of your various blueprints for repair, if you end up changing that, you have that material also in there. You have authorizations from your customer, written authorizations, and I don't care if it's a text message. You print it out, you stick it in the file that says, yes, go ahead and fix my car. And yes, I agree to pay, type of thing.
Right.
So every time, if you make a change to that repair plan, you print out the next text message that says, yeah, it's okay. Photographs.
So let's talk about documentation, because one of the things that I found interesting is that this was a 2012 repair. The
Yep.
deposition on this claim was in July of 2017.
5 years later.
5
Yeah.
years
That's
later.
usually how it happens.
Yeah.
There's a
Usually.
lot of turnover that happens in shops in 5 years between estimators and shop
Yep.
managers
And that's why you gotta take photos
and
of the
whatever.
documentation.
Yeah. So can I just from memory walk into a deposition and remember a car I worked on 5 years ago?
No. Impossible.
Yeah.
So unless it's some oddball car you haven't seen, like a Bentley Continental GT
Right.
Coupe
Yeah.
or some Rolls Royce that rolled in there for some reason, some famous person came in, need to fix that
Right,
car. But
right.
a standard Honda Fit.
Or a
that
Honda
was
Accord or
hail
Toyota
damage,
Corolla.
one of
With a
the
hail
worst
damage?
hail
Right.
damages in
Right.
the history of
Right,
Texas.
right.
I don't remember that exact one.
Right.
That just seems a little oddballish
Yeah.
to me.
Yep.
I know right now we talked about it, so everyone else knows we're going to have eventually an online pay program with Erica, myself, you, and Mark. We're gonna teach shops how to shop-proof yourself and give you some information. And Erica's even gonna have a class for lawyers to come in and understand how to do these type of cases and stuff. So I mean, look for our training on that stuff to help you. But I mean, this is just an overview of some of the stuff you can start doing right now on your own.
Well, one of the critical things too is that, again, you're right, 5 years later, you go back, you pull up the documentation, and it may help trigger your memory. I mean, then things start to come back to you. But one of the other things too is that you want to have this stuff in your file because these things may be able to be admitted in court because you've said, I did this contemporaneously. This is what we do on every single vehicle. This is our standard procedure. We do it every single
what?
SOPs. SOPs.
Well, and then
I
there's
did it at the time.
Yeah.
Yes.
Therefore, it's considered to have more validity than anything you try to go back and recreate later.
I had to review the file.
Right.
I didn't remember the car.
Right.
I went back. I remember the people. They'd been in 3 or 4 times. I don't remember which accident it was.
Right.
But the hail damage, we had a lot of cars at the time. I looked at the file. Yes, then I remembered it. We showed the file to other people. They started to remember it once they saw the pictures and realized the car. And then we knew who did what because we have a management system where people punch on and off.
Right.
Okay, we take good notes. That's more of a better question than, oh, I remember that job vividly.
Yeah.
Right.
No, you
Remember
don't.
that file?
No,
What'd
you
you have for lunch Tuesday last week? I can't remember. Oh, but you remember 5 years ago I held you.
So let's talk about on documentation. Documentation also is great for what I write down, what I take photos of, and what I keep in the claim.
You got
But
it.
having repeatable SOPs in a shop set me up for success almost every time.
You got it.
So right now we're in a pre and post diagnostic scan phase. We should have been doing it for the last 20 years. We kind of screwed up. But whether you're getting paid or you're not getting paid, man, you better do it. And you better have that report in the file.
Same thing with measuring.
Yeah, you got to measure the car.
Absolutely.
A pre and post measure is critical to have. When we get to departmental quality, accuracy checklist, and peer review, this one a little bit. I have some shops that take the weld samples for when they're doing their test welds before. We don't practice weld on a customer's car.
No.
We don't practice weld on a customer's car.
You have to tune the welder up
Right,
first.
yeah, and I gotta do my practice welds off and set the welder and do that. I have some shops that take that weld sample and put it in a file and keep it. I have some shops that just take pictures of that.
You
and put
probably
it in
just
there.
look better off taking pictures. A little bit
Yeah.
very heavy box.
But they have proof of that, and it is a repeatable SOP that every technician in the shop goes through. They know that they have to set up the welder and do the test welds. They know they don't just drag it over and go to the car. That's part of their departmental quality.
I'm not being paid for that, though.
Right. I don't care.
Oh,
You're going to get
okay.
sued for it, whether you get paid for it or not.
Absolutely.
So you can pay now or you can pay later. Which
Right.
way do you want to pay? The other thing here that I want to bring up is we had an issue on social media the other night, a couple nights ago, where we had a technician basically say, I don't care. It's not my job to follow the OEM procedures. It's my job to fix cars fast and get paid.
Yep.
What I want to remind
Breathe.
every shop in America is that kid works for you.
Yeah.
He's in your stall, and if you don't have some sort of peer review or a review process that looks over the car before it goes to paint or does whatever, he's the one that's going to cost you your house, your boat, your kids' college, your future, everything, because you thought you knew him, but you didn't know
And
him.
I'm in shops all over the country, and if I could say one thing to the owners, that quality control form, whatever system you've got, when that thing gets into paint, if that thing's blank, and that's pretty common.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
It's just a list that sits in the car and no one looks at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you
we
see the quick
do that
access.
later.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Now,
we'll-
Eric,
we'll-
if you go into court and you're defending a shop and they have a file and they've got all this stuff in here, how easy is it for you to defend them?
Oh my gosh, it's the dream shop. Because you say, here's what my client does. Here's what they did on this job. Here's what they do every single time. Pull out a sample 25 files and take a look at it, and you're going to find that they're documented the exact same way.
it's their pattern.
We're not making this up.
Yeah. Right.
This wasn't recreated just to try to provide a defense for this case.
These guys are good.
It's much easier.
What I want to do is we got some questions that are coming in. We got one we're going to go back to because we
Yeah.
had that conversation,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
actually even today.
Yeah.
Can a
This morning.
shop act as a public adjuster?
Excellent
Well, so
question.
let me just ask 2 questions with that. So number 1, they come walking in with XYZ insurance company's estimate saying, "Here, fix my car," and then they rekey it into their system. Whose estimate is that now?
Okay, let me answer the public adjuster issue
Okay.
first. Okay, which is, as far as I know, every state has a public adjuster regulation, whether it's a
New York's
statute
really
regulation.
bad with it.
Yeah,
Really
and
bad.
I can-
Washington, Oregon, doesn't matter.
yeah, and what it says effectively is, and again, this all varies from state to state, but basically, you are an independent person who has an independent public adjuster insurance license, that allows you to effectively function as the advocate on the insurance claim for the person who's making the claim. It doesn't typically apply to adjusters who work for insurance companies.
Right.
All right, so that having been said, the way that it typically works is they're effectively being allowed to practice law on the insurance, on this specific matter for you. So the answer is, unless you as the individual at the shop have a public adjuster license, you are not allowed to act as a public adjuster. In other words, you are not permitted to negotiate the car owners, the lessees, whomever the person is. You can't negotiate the claim with the insurance company on behalf of the owner.
Now, guilty as a practicing law with a license.
And I do want to.
But
there's a
New York
caveat.
and
New York.
A lot of the Northeast states.
Yep.
You're allowed to with something called a designated representative,
Right.
which really throws a curveball. Because when I talk on Facebook, sometimes guys are like, "You can't negotiate." It's like, listen, you don't know our laws here. Yes, we are allowed to negotiate.
Yes.
it.
Yes.
And that's part of that, and that really throws a curveball in it, which would probably drive a lawyer like you insane. It's like,
Well,
wait a second, you got a public adjuster, but then you just override everything the public adjuster's thing.
It does.
Doesn't it rep?
It does, because what happens is a lot of the insurers said, hey, this is great. You know, we would much rather argue with the body shop than with our customer. And so they kind
It's
of
easier for me to
browbeat
a body shop than it is my customer.
than it is, right. And so they basically took this concept of negotiating with the shop from the East Coast, and they just spread it all across the country. Well, it's not really legal in a lot of states. Most of the states.
Right. Yeah,
Most
out
of the
Northeast,
states.
it's usually illegal.
Well,
If you're doing it as a shop, okay, well, as a person in the shop, you are generally violating the public adjuster license, and you're engaging in the unauthorized practice of
So
law.
go get a public adjuster's license, or hire a public adjuster
here's the thing.
to defend you, or let your lawyer do it.
Or don't negotiate with the insurance company.
right.
Tell them to take it up with the customer.
Your
Here's my
job
bill.
is to, if you are a body shop, your job is just to fix the car.
Yes.
Yep.
It doesn't matter what the policy is or isn't going to pay. It doesn't matter what parts the policy says that you can use or not. Your job is to fix the car. Your job is to fix it 100% accurately each and every time, because it is
The only
your
person
liability.
who can agree
Period.
your rates is the customer. The insurance company has no say in the matter. I don't care what. I really don't care.
Right.
Here's a car. Fix it. I'm fixing it. And here's my bill.
So we got another question.
And then any negotiation obviously makes you an adjuster.
And
But there's also independent
Right.
appraisers working for
Yes.
insurance companies, which are technically
Right.
independent insurance adjusters, and that's another
then that's a
licensing.
separate, different, yeah.
It's a whole different license.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and I just want to go back to Mark's second question before we move on, which is if you rekey,
Okay.
don't rekey insurance companies'
That's the dumbest
estimates.
thing you
Okay, do not do that, because Mark's 100% right in the implication of the question, which is if you do that, you own it. That is now your estimate.
Write
Okay.
write your final bill the first or second day you get the car and roll apart. Write your final bill, or write your as close as you can to final bill.
Right.
You hand it to them. If you wrote 5 and they wrote 3, call them back. When they get down there, you hand them the $5,000 thing again, and they go, well, what's missing? I don't know, $2,000. You figure it out. It's your job.
This is something that I tell body shops all the time. It's like when you rekey the insurance company's estimate,
You accepted it.
not only do you accept it, but also too, you're rewarding the insurer for hiring people who and putting them out there into the public who really don't know what they're doing.
Now, don't make fun of my coffee
I'm not.
baristas. They're easy to hire.
All I'm trying to say is, all I'm trying
That's
to
what I say. It's Starbucks.
Yeah.
All I'm trying to say is that I know shops will say to me, oh, well, I do it because
It's
then when
easier,
the
it's
insurance
faster.
adjuster comes back in and they say, well, I don't know what the difference is. It's like, that's the insurance company's problem.
Right.
That's
You
not
sit
yours.
down. Here's a desk.
Right.
Here's a cup of
Right.
coffee. Knock yourself out. It's not my problem. You
Go
wrote
for
it
it.
$2,000 short.
Right.
You're the idiot. You figure it out.
Right.
Not my job to do your job. If you want, I'll rekey it. I'll do it for you. Not on my letterhead, but it's $500 for me to do it.
Yeah, the thing
Yeah.
about it though is really just, besides the fact that the adjuster, and I managed them, like 900 of them at one point, they
used to
need
be
to know
one.
their job.
I used to be
Yeah.
one.
Yeah. But when I do that and you put it now on your company name and on the letterhead that is your estimate, you own it. You've
Yeah.
accepted that insurance
It's a legal
company's estimate.
document.
You said it's good.
And I'm going to make one other comment,
Yeah.
which is because I thought I put this to rest in like 2002.
Apparently not. No.
Yeah.
That's only a couple thousand years ago.
But if you repair the vehicle, you don't even do your own blueprint, okay? You just take the insurance company's estimate and you fix it according to the insurance company's estimate. You are still liable for the repair. I don't care if the insurance company wrote it and said basically do it this way,
Even
right?
if you stamp your thing, repaired as per insurance company estimate, which is the dumbest thing you can do.
I
But
don't
guess what? You're still
Care.
liable.
You're still liable.
You're the
'cause
repair
you're the
professional.
professional repairer.
I'm still amazed at what, as an insurers, we let shops do. At some point, we should have been saying, please don't do that, please,
Yeah.
but we didn't, and that's okay. So one other question is coming
Yep.
from Brian. It says, why do states allow totaled cars back on the road without a structural and safety inspection? It's just politics.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. And again, the vast majority of any requirements for a total loss car getting back on the road, any inspection, it's all about making certain that it wasn't repaired with stolen parts.
Yep.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
it
Well,
really
yeah.
is.
Does it have lights? You
Right.
know, the parts
And-
that you put on it.
And the answer to that is largely because the insurance companies wanted those laws about the total or repaired totals to make certain that they could capture any of
Yeah.
these improperly repaired vehicles that were repaired with stolen parts.
Now we are running over, but
Sorry.
to
And we
have a chance,
apologize, but-
but to
yeah.
have a chance to have Erica here and get your
Yeah,
questions
right,
in.
no,
That's the
we're
reason we
over.
did a live show, so
Yeah.
people would ask questions. Erica, you have a question coming in that is specifically for you.
Okay.
If we should have been scanning for 20 years, what liability do we have now to go back and make an effort to make sure it's safe or
Well,
fix
first
the
off, they
issue?
should have been reading the OEM repair
All right.
procedures. They would have
Yeah.
known that 20 years ago.
Yeah, well,
If you want to call every customer back
So
in, I
read,
don't know.
riff.
here's the good news. If those vehicles that you repaired 20 years ago, I would say probably 90% of them are off the road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, you're probably in.
Or changed owners easily.
Well,
But changing owners doesn't mean you're
owners
liable.
doesn't-
Liability.
Yeah.
Could
Come
be
on,
out of
Larry,
state,
pay
though.
attention.
Could be out of state. Could have changed owners. Could have been wrecked, by somebody else. you
Again,
know?
the liability issue really boils down to what we consider to be like state of the art. So if the state of the industry, if the shops were not doing the scans, forget what the insurance company will pay for. If it really wasn't a standard practice of the shops to do the scans, that is a much easier case to defend. If something happens and they say, oh, well,
Right.
the
And
scans
back
were
then,
here.
there was a limited amount of cars.
Exactly.
One of the German
Limited
highway
amount of cars, limited
that
amount of
you had to do.
scanners,
Yeah.
cost
Bottom
astronomical.
line is you can't go back and make up for what you did
Right.
unless you can find those owners and buy the cars back
Right.
and you want to get them off the road. So we just have to start doing today
Right.
the best we can
Go
going
forward.
forward.
Yep.
Yep.
And
Yep.
again, you do the scan whether the insurance company pays for it or not. Okay, you have to do that because
The
now.
customer pays for it, just like when you go to a doctor.
Oh.
If they don't pay for a sonogram, you get a letter in the mail that says, oh, we didn't pay for this, we didn't think it was necessary. The doctor says, pay me in 30 days, the lawyer says, collect anything. Who you mad at? Not the doctor, who's really the repair shop.
Right.
You're mad at the insurance company. We've allowed people we've allowed in the industry
Yeah.
to customers to get a condition to, it's, the insurance company didn't pay, you owe me. No. Oh, I'm the shop, I'm the bad guy. No.
I don't want to lose. If word gets around that I'm making customers pay out of pocket, I'm going to lose money.
Well, and
Okay.
again, this is where
You
I
want to
go.
lose your house? Which one would you like to lose? Money or your house?
I go back to the state of the art issue, which is, when the insurers tell everybody you're the only one doing this, it's like, I don't
That's
care
a
what
lie.
they say.
You pick up the phone. You start calling people.
Right.
Don't you charge for this?
Yeah.
Did you charge for this?
Yeah.
Because again, what's important is if you're going to end up with Larry or Mark or Mike Anderson or some of these other folks coming in to say, absolutely, people scan. That's a requirement. The OEs now say you scan pre and post. We want scans of the vehicles. We want you to know what you're doing when you fix that car.
Right.
We want you to know everything about what's going to be
Right.
a problem.
Lives depend on it.
So move on.
So this is a great
I
question.
actually love this question.
Yeah, because I actually we have this issue in Arkansas right now. So some of these not just rural areas, this is metropolitan
Yeah,
areas as
yeah.
well. Finding a lawyer that knows about our industry that's willing to take shops' cases, whether
Yeah.
it's assignment of
It's like
proceeds
glass.
or whatever, are very hard to find. Any pointers on helping shops find attorneys?
Take Erica's class.
Yes.
Little bit of all
yes.
Thanks. Take the class.
Yeah.
So how about soon?
I will say, I really understand and I really feel for you. That's one of the reasons why I do this, is because there were so few lawyers who knew anything about this industry.
We're having trouble in Hawaii right now.
I didn't know
Or
anything
somebody.
about this industry when I started. And when I found out that you just couldn't find lawyers, I have been offering to co-counsel with lawyers. If you can find a lawyer in your area, I've been offering to co-counsel. I have offered to provide all the documentation and the case law and things I have. I'm apt to have case law from your state. I talk to lawyers from all over the country, and I will tell you the good news is I'm hearing from more and more lawyers all the time, that there are more lawyers who are getting up to speed. And part of the reason, actually, I'm going to say, the insurers did this to themselves. And part of the reason for that is because by so severely limiting what they will pay for in bodily injury cases, you now have a lot of hungry plaintiffs' lawyers who previously just did.
I just want the injury claim.
I
don't
just
care
want,
about anything else.
exactly. It's
Yeah.
like they can't make any money off
do
that
property
anymore.
damage,
And
yeah.
now they're like, these cars are really expensive.
Yes.
Gee, maybe I should get involved in this.
Yeah.
So, do I have any pointers? The best place to go to initially is to talk to local personal injury counsel, all right?
Okay.
Because they're going to be the most familiar with the activities of the insurance industry, and they're the most similar fit. If you just call up your local bar association, they will simply refer you
Yeah.
to lawyers because they're not allowed to make specific recommendations generally.
So your divorce attorney is not probably the one to.
Definitely not. I mean, I take not to get into politics or anything, but I take a look at like some of the people who are like, I'll talk to my divorce lawyer,
Yeah,
you
no,
know,
it's
and
not
bring my
good.
divorce lawyer. No, that's not a good idea
I've had-
when you're facing
I've
a
had-
criminal case.
I've had conversations with shops who've asked me, and I said, get your lawyer on the phone that's at least maybe willing to hear it.
Yeah,
And speak to me if you want. You can speak to me. You can speak to Mid-Island's lawyer or Exclusive Collision's lawyer who do this a lot, who work with Erica. Or if I can track it down somehow, I'll get, maybe Erica to speak to them. But once again, you might have to pay these lawyers for their
Yeah.
time to explain to your lawyer, but it'll pay off in the long
Yeah.
run
Right,
for
right.
what you can do, because you want to help and assist your customer to make what's right, so it's not costing them any money. Unlike what a doctor does that
Right.
doesn't do anything.
Well, the
But
bottom
threaten
line
you.
is, it's not just helping the customer. So the whole point of this show and what's happening and what we consider this legal storm brewing is you're going to have to do it whether you want to or
Yeah.
not. You're going to have to do it whether somebody's paying you or not.
It's
You're
not
going to have to
optional.
fix the car right. So you can either start learning how to get paid, and getting paid's hard because there's no incentive. We always say there's no incentive for an insurance company to say yes. I just say no. And what do you guys do? You roll over and
And
you go,
play
oh,
dead.
I don't want to put the customer in the middle.
I don't want to be blackballed.
We're the one
Right.
that told you not to put the customer in the middle, but we put the customer in the middle when we call you and go, your shop is so difficult to work
right,
with.
exactly.
If you go there, you're going to have to pay out of pocket. But we tell
Yeah.
you, don't put the customer in the middle, Mark.
Right.
So I need to do that. That's my job, to put the customer in the middle. But one way or another, you're going to pay. So it's worth the money to invest in an attorney, invest in a consultant attorney like Erica to talk to your attorney, because it's coming. It's
And
coming to a
let-
town near you.
Let me also make another recommendation, which is, all right, so you have no idea where to go. Look up and see if you can find people who are recent graduates of law school, because the new
They're really
lawyers, they're not only are they hungry, they have an incentive to learn. They already know they don't know. So they're going to be a lot more open to you teaching them about this particular area. And again, as I said, I email stuff, I talk to lawyers all the time, and I'm happy to do it.
And as a new lawyer, you're looking for, to make money. And if you can find a niche market that you can be the person at, hey, wait a second, that's not so bad. I can make my own little business here. I don't have to work for another company.
I actually got a phone call about 3 days ago from an attorney that I was talking to, and I said, you know what? Let's not even have this conversation. Let me send you a link to this thing called Collision Auto Repair University Live.
Yeah.
It's Wednesday, 9 a.m., and then we'll talk after that.
Right.
Yeah. So we'll just bring this thing to a close.
Yeah.
We know that everybody on the panel is available to you at any moment's notice to send them an email, ask them a question. We're happy to help in whatever we can. 3 of us are not lawyers. 1 of us is. So
Just in case you didn't know.
yeah. So
I
we
put
will.
Dr.
It's the one not
Website.
wearing black.
And I send a Holiday Inn Express.
Yeah, the non-black wearing one on the panel is
Yeah.
our attorney here today. She
Hey.
One of these
Did we
things
plan?
is
We didn't even
not
plan
like
that.
the
That worked
others.
out really well. But we will be happy to answer any questions we can, send you in any direction we can. Bottom line, repairs. There's only one way to fix a car. It's the right way, and it's what the OEM says. And it doesn't matter who pays or how much they pay or when you get paid. Fixing it any other way just really isn't an option. So you're going to have to find a way to get all the information you need, get the training you need, get the tooling and the equipment you need, and start moving forward today. If it doesn't matter what we've done 20 years ago, today's our day to make a difference. Technicians, you're liable. It doesn't matter if you work for a repair shop that's a large MSO or you work for a small mom and pop or you're doing cars behind your house at home. You are also liable. You can be named individually. You can be named criminally. So it's time to sit down with your own personal attorney or maybe even your own personal insurance agent and make sure that you have the coverage that's going to take you through this legal storm that is about to hit us square in the nose, so to speak.
Because Tracy's actually made an announcement. He's
Yeah.
going after everybody.
Yeah,
So
Well, he
warned
feels
everybody.
like he found a blue ocean that no
Yeah.
one's tapped of cash, and in his mind, that blue ocean's cash. Not, I mean, I know there's customer safety there that
I
needs to
got
be,
it.
but hey, this is a nice place to
Pretty
go.
fertile, Yeah.
Insurers, I take it personally. Customers trust us; they pay us on a regular monthly basis. We're supposed to care about them and protect them, and when we know something's not right at a shop that we've chosen to put on a partnership, it's our duty to take care of it. We don't get a pass. Erica was talking to us earlier today about the one bite rule. Once I know a shop's a problem, that's it. I cannot in good conscience send customers there anymore. And it's time we start taking it serious. We have this case, we have the Honda that, or the Acura that Honda brought to the SEMA show. Fixing cars improperly really does put customers in danger.
Well, and there's other examples like the one,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
quarter panel that killed somebody about 2 years ago in Seattle. I mean, they're out there.
Yeah, there are the def
Shops
claims.
are-
Yeah, and the
business
problem
because
is
of it.
they're driving down the road with your
Yeah.
kids.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
They
It's hard
are.
to make you angry, and a shop not fixing a car right are to make you angry. If you're in this industry, from adjuster to body shop technician, this should make you mad. So I appreciate you all for coming. Erica, thank you so much. I'm looking forward. We will be leaving tomorrow. We'll be heading to Texas. We'll be meeting with the Tracy Law Firm. We're going to be getting some advanced information on what's going on with that. We've also been invited to come back and cover the trial, so stay tuned. We will probably be in
We'll be
Texas.
at the Texas Trade Show.
Yeah,
We got a class
Texas
together.
Texas Auto
Texas
Trade
Trade Show
Show
this weekend, but September 25th and 26th, we will be in Dallas County at the courthouse watching
Yep.
how this unfolds. We're very interested
And then
in
I think
what's happening.
Saturday we're doing a panel at the trade show as well.
Yes,
Yeah.
we're
We-
sitting in on that.
Yeah, so-
and once again, look for
The three amigos are traveling all week together. Yeah.
and have fun. Somebody better have that money.
You better carry my luggage.
And just remember, I mean, once the new year begins, we're gonna have a bunch of announcements come up at SEMA this year,
Yeah.
and look for classes online to pay classes that will be filmed, and you can take it at your
Yeah.
own leisure. But
Yeah.
Erica's gonna be doing a class on this
Yeah.
stuff, and it might help other lawyers.
If
So
we
it's really
learned one
important.
thing out of what came out of Texas, we learned that body shop people need to be trained in depositions.
Oh,
so
yeah.
we're gonna
And definitely not a good expert.
Oh, yeah.
we're gonna start deposition training now next month. So September 20th, we will be doing the show that should have been today. So we'll be talking about translucents and quad coats and the refinishing applications, the techniques, matching techniques, and then also how that affects refinish times in the estimating system. So obviously we don't have quads and translucents in the estimating databases now. So what should shops be doing to ensure that the painters are being accurately compensated for the labor they're putting into these?
On the spot evaluation, like in every P page. Nobody reads the P page.
The Mazda, that Mazda color has got me. I don't even. If it came into the shop right now, I'd be like, "We're not painting your car. I'm so sorry. It's got to go back to somebody else. It just ain't me. Well, you ain't got to go home, but you can't stay here." So we will see you next month on Repair University Live. Thank you for staying with us, and we appreciate you letting us go over. Thank you.
Thanks.